shall be the first month of the year to you. Now, it's not too much confusion, but for those of you that's window shopping, some of you brothers and sisters in here might be wondering, well, does the regular Sabbath, is it based on the new moon? Can you give me a calendar, Bezel? I need a calendar now. Calendar. For March. Give me March. March 20. So we saw in March there's two new moons. One was March 1st. The last one, which is this one, which is the first for the year, March 30th. Okay, so this would be, remember the last new moon for that year, the previous year, was this one, correct?
Yes, sir. So
let's go 1. You got the days there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so that's according to that doctrine. And now listen, I'm just looking at that doctrine. So this would be one complete Sabbath based on the new moon, correct?
Yes, sir.
Let's see. Now we're going to the second week. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. This would be the second week, right? 7 days so far. This is based on the theory that the Sabbath is on a new moon. Based upon the new moon. You just messed me up.
That's on 14.
Okay. Okay, so now we're going 1. Then we're going to the third week, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. This is the end of the third week, right? Now we're going to the fourth. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Ends on the 20th. Now see that? So now, we'll go up, Bethlehem. So now we got, this is the 7. Now you got 1, 2, and look, the new moon comes here. So what do you do with this day? What happens? According to that doctrine, it gets thrown out. You skip over. That's ridiculous. Because the Most High told you the Sabbath is every 7 days. So with this theory, if it's based on the new moon, there's days you got to throw away. Everybody understand that? Yep. So don't window shop listening.
Giving all praises to Yahweh Ba'Hashem, Yahweh Shai Ba'Hashem, Howard Kakwadash. Say double honors to our apostles and elders here, great millstone, peace and blessings to the Lord's hopefully elect. So this video came across my feed, and it's the first time I've actually watched it myself. Otherwise, I was watching response videos. But this is where you hear Bishop Nathaniel, as he titled his video, New Moon Based Sabbath Debunked. Right? And if you watched, you can see that what he's showing is that if you try to follow, right, if you try to count even 7, according to time as we know it, if you try to count an even 7 days, right, according to time as we know it, that what will happen is from one new moon to another, you'll have a day or so that's going to have to get thrown out, and it doesn't make any sense. So to him, that's proof that it doesn't work. Well, his error is, just like we've been explaining, but his error is simple. His error is that he is comparing the moon calendar, the lunar calendar, with the solar calendar. The lunar calendar and the solar calendar do not equate to equal times. That's his mistake. And I'm going to play it back because we're going to use his example. Now, this was quite tedious for me, but it took me a few hours actually to pull all this up because of what I was looking for. Because I'm also going to show you how, according to them, they teach that the new moon is what we know the new moon as, where the moon is dark, right? And we know the full moon as when the moon is at full light, right? IUIC, in particular, Bishop Nathaniel, teach that the new moon and full moon are reversed. In fact, I think they actually had, the last time I saw, I think they had both the new and full moon at the same day. Okay, IUIC teaches that what we know the full moon as, when the moon is at full, when it's full of light, they teach that that's really the so-called new moon. Okay, and I can prove to you through the scripture that's incorrect, and it took me some time to pull up these Greek dictionaries, but we're going to show you that in the book of Sirach, it tells you and explains to you perfectly that the new moon is indeed what we know it as, which is the moon is at dark. So to stay on the first part, right, The calendar that we're going off of today is called the Gregorian calendar. It came in effect in 1582 from Pope Gregory the 13th, I believe. You can go down here, right down here. It says that it is the solar calendar. It says the silver calendar in use around the world, the Gregorian calendar, is a solar calendar. Okay? So this is based off of the solar calendar. The solar calendar and the lunar calendar do not, for lack of better words, run on the same time. They don't. That's where he's getting lost, because he's trying to say that if you look at a solar calendar, which is the calendar that we go off of today, and try to compare that with the moon time, it's off. Well, it's because we're not going off a lunar calendar. Okay. Now, what do I have here? Okay, I have here, right here. All right, I typed in lunar day. Okay, if you look up a lunar day, let's read. This is from, doesn't tell me, but it says, okay, National Ocean Service. Okay. It says, unlike a 24-hour solar day, a lunar day lasts 24 hours and 50 minutes, which is an approximation anyway. Okay. It says this occurs because the moon revolves around the earth in the same direction that the earth is rotating on its axis. Therefore, it takes the earth an extra 50 minutes to catch up to the moon, since the earth rotates through 2 tidal bulges every lunar day. We experience 2 high and 2 low tides every 24 hours and 50 minutes. Here, okay, so all right. Right. So right here, right, you can just watch this little picture. So right there is telling you that a lunar calendar, okay, a lunar day and a solar day are not on the same time. It's approximated that a lunar day from, you could say, high tide to high tide is 24 hours and some will say 48 minutes. So if you just wanted to say 50 minutes, you could say that. It's 24 hours and 50 minutes, which means that a lunar day is actually longer than what we know to be a solar day. And that's one difference. And the other difference is that from new moon to new moon, the moon completes its cycle in what we know as 29 and a half days, which is still less, if you exclude the month of February, which is still less than a traditional 30-day solar month. So even though a lunar day is longer than the solar day, it completes its cycle it completes its cycle shorter than the earth and the sun, you can say. Okay, so that right there is why he fails to understand, because he's trying to compare the calendar that they get today, which is based off the Gregorian calendar, which is based off of which they approximately base off the solar, which is the sun. The sun, a Sunday, if you want to say that, a Sunday based off the sun and a lunar day, which is based off the moon, are not in the exact same time. That's why it's not going to line up perfectly, because you're going off of 2 different lights. You got the light of the sun and you got the light of the moon, right? Now, so where do I want to go next? Because I got so much here. So if we go back to this video.
I need a calendar.
Okay. So he went to, this video is 10 years old, but he went to March. He used March as an example in 2024. He used March as an example in 2024, how there was, you could say, 2 new moons in that 1 month, which I have here. I was able to pull it up here. All right, so this is 2024, the moon phases. This is exactly what he's looking at here. Okay. We're looking at March 1st right? It says the new moon came in approximately at March 1st, right? Which was a Saturday at 2 o'clock in the morning. And then the next one was the 30th. And it came in at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, basically. All right, so let's go back to his calendar. And I'm going to show you how it does make sense.
Okay, so this would be, remember the last new moon for that year, the previous year, was this one, correct?
Yes, sir.
So let's go 1, you got the days there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so that's according to that doctrine. And now listen, I'm just looking at that doctrine. So this would be one complete Sabbath based on the moon, correct?
Yes, sir.
Let's see. Now we're going to the second week. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. This would be the second week, right? 7 days so far. This is based on the theory that the Sabbath is on a new moon. Based upon the moon. You just messed me up.
That's on 14.
Okay. Okay, so now we're going 1. Then we're going to the third week, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. This is the end of the third week, right? Now we're going to the fourth. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Ends on the 20th. Now see that? So now, we'll go up, that's what it is. So now we got, this is the 7. Now you got 1, 2, and look, the new moon comes here. So what do you do with this day?
So here's what he's saying. He said that the next moon, new moon, they said come in on the 30th. So what happens to the 29th? Basic. So here's what he fails to understand. So we know that according to scripture, we'll come back to this, as first Genesis 1, verse 5, and the powers called the light day, and the darkness he called night, and the evening and the morning were the first day. So we know that according to scripture, and this is what you have to understand, everything that we're doing is based off the scripture. Where Bishop Nathaniel is wrong at is when he says that the new moon does not determine the Sabbath, basically. He's saying the new moon does not determine the Sabbath, basically. And what we're saying is that's incorrect according to the scripture. And I know why they want it to be Friday to Saturday, because of convenience. You know, it's hard to boast in the law when you know the Sabbath changes each month according to the moon, and you're in captivity, right? So it's one thing to say, like I said in my previous video, it's one thing to say you keep the Sabbath Friday to Saturday out of convenience for you, because, you know, in this society, you can get a Monday through Friday job. It's another to say the Bible does not teach that basically the Sabbath is based off of the moon. See, now you're just lying. You're wrong. And that's what we have to say. You are wrong. So we know that according to the scriptures, the day begins in the evening, right? So if we go to that March 1st and you see how it says that the new moon came in approximately 2 a.m. So how do we keep it? How would we keep the Sabbath knowing that it came in at Saturday at 2 a.m.? I'll tell you what we'll do. We would keep it that Friday evening, because it comes in technically through that day, right? So if it came in at 2 o'clock a.m. on the Saturday, the Sabbath would be, according to the time we are today, Friday evening to Saturday evening. That's what it would be. All right. So knowing that, when you get to March 30th, so notice it said it says that it comes in on March 30th at 2 o'clock p.m. So if it came in on 2 o'clock p.m., when would that Sabbath be? I'll tell you what it'd be. We would keep it on this was Sunday at 2 o'clock p.m. So we would keep it on the Saturday evening to Sunday evening, because the new moon comes in between the Saturday evening and the Sunday evenings, because it comes in at 2 o'clock p.m. That's how we would do it. And that's just from what I observe, looking at the calendar. Okay. And that's what I would do. Let's say if I didn't relied on the, GMS, the brothers to put up the calendar and all that. And I woke up, somewhere on the other side of the world and I'm looking at the times and I'll say, okay, what day is this? Okay. I would say, okay, the new moon comes in on 2:00 Sunday. So that means that Saturday evening to Sunday evening, that's the Sabbath. That's it. You see, but that's where Bishop Nathaniel goes wrong, because he's thinking that the Sabbath would start exactly at 2:00 in the afternoon, which you won't, because then he's looking like, then you just missed the day. No, because if you go back to your calendar.
So now, you got, this is the 7. Now you got 1, 7, 5, 6, 7. This is the end of the third week, right? Now we're going to the 4th. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
So again, the new Sabbath would be what are we looking at? The Saturday evening at Saturday evening, right, to Sunday evening. Because again, you're going off of 2 different calendars. You have the lunar calendar and you have the solar calendar. And again, the lunar calendar, a lunar day is longer than the solar day. So you can't look at each one specifically and think that it's going to line up. It's not. And if you really pay attention, you'll notice that they are always, from each new moon to another new moon, is at least 12 hours, like a difference. So like from that March 1st, how it was 2 o'clock a.m. And then the next one was basically 2:00 p.m. You see the difference is about like, damn near 12 hours, right? And again, and I got a calculator here. Let's do this. If a lunar day is approximately 50 minutes longer, right? If you do times 29 and a half or something like that, that's about 14 hours of a 14-hour difference. So that's why you would see that they off about 12 hours. It was 2 a.m. that one, then it came in at 2 p.m. that evening, because it's different times. Now, if we had a lunar calendar, then our calendars will be based off that. But if you're going off the sun, that's why you're going to say, wait a minute, there's a day missing, because as we just explained, that going off of lunar, the moon, right? The days are longer, so there's a time lapse. So you could basically say our days are shorter. You can say our days are shorter, and since the moon completes its cycle faster, right, or shorter, if you want to say, that is why the times come in differently. So I'll show you how we do today, right? So just like the elders put up, okay, new moon, August 3rd, 2024, Saturday evening to Sunday evening. So that's when we're going to keep it. Now, where are we getting this from? Got a calendar. Go to August. All right. So then I got the calendars for this year. All right. So on the left here, just says 4. It says that the next new moon comes in on the 4th at 6:13 a.m. So 6 o'clock in the morning, you could say. So the 4th is a Sunday. So that is why, so knowing that it's Sunday morning, you can say that's when it comes in. We're going to keep it Saturday evening, start at Saturday evening, because it's going to come throughout Saturday evening, right to Sunday evening. That's how we keep it. That's us following the moon to the best of our ability. And that's why it's on a different day. Because the days, bottom line is the lunar day and the solar day are not the same times. You know, understand? Because I got news for you. The 60 minutes for 1 hour, 24 hours a day, all that's an approximation. Okay, that's what we're going off of. And even Esau Edom, his calendar isn't perfect. You know, this Gregorian calendar is perfect because they have leap years, right? Why do they have leap years? Because though we say there's 365 days in a year, actually, according to if we go off the sun, it's 365.24 and some change, which if you round up is like a quarter. That's why they say every 4 years add a day so that you can keep up with the time. See? So you can't look at this and try to squeeze sun and solar and try to be precise and say, look, this is supposed to make sense. First of all, it's an approximation. That's why we're doing everything to the best of our ability. So then you guys might be saying, well, then why is it such a big deal? Well, the big deal is when you teach, okay, when you teach that the new moon does not dictate the Sabbath according to the scriptures, you are wrong. You are wrong. Okay, this is Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 9, verse 13. For what man is he that can know the counsel of the Most High? Or who can think what the will of the Lord is? For the thoughts of mortal man are miserable, and our devices are but uncertain. For the corruptible body presses down the soul, and the earthly tabernacle weigheth down the mind that museth upon many things. And hardly do we guess aright at the things that are upon the earth, and with labor do we find the things that are before us, but the things that are in heaven, who have searched out. Right. So point is, we hardly guess aright at the things. Everything we do or say is an approximation. The earth is X amount of light years away from this. That's an approximation. For all you know, you're not even close in the eyes of the Lord, right? I got, pour in 2 liters of water. I got 2 liters of water. That's an approximation. Okay. For the things we do, that's what we basically, we're guessing. We hardly guess aright at the things on earth. So no, you ain't going to be able to look at the clock and say, okay, all this should make perfect 100%. Because at the end of the day, we're still in the flesh. And that's why we say we rehearse the righteous acts to the best of our ability. We have more than enough proof to show you that the scriptures that tell us, that the scriptures teach us that time, the day is based off the moon, as the word month means moon. And then if we go here, because this is it right here. This is the proof that we have. That's what the scriptures say, 1 Samuel chapter 20, dealing with David and Jonathan and Saul. 1 Samuel chapter 20. All right, verse 5. And David said unto Saul, behold, tomorrow is the new moon, and I should not fail to sit with the king at meat, but let me go that I might hide myself in the field until the 3rd day at evening. Jump down. Verse 18. Then Jonathan said to David, tomorrow is the new moon, and thou shalt be missed, because thy seat will be empty. Now, if we jump down. Verse 25, and the king sat upon his seat as other times, even upon a seat by the wall, and Jonathan arose, and Abner sat by Saul's side, and David's place was empty. Nevertheless, Saul spake not of anything that day, for he thought, something hath befallen him, he is not clean, surely he is not clean. And it came to pass on the morrow, which was the 2nd day of the month. So that right there tells you that you have the new moon. The following day is the 2nd day of the month. And how did we do? We counted 7 days, right? You have 6 working days. That's why, it would say the first I'm sorry, it would say, the first, then the 8th, right? Then the 15th, because you had 6 working days, and then the 7th day would be a Sabbath, which would be like that 8th day or that 15th day, right? So that right there is proof, which was the 2nd day of the month, that David's place was empty, and Saul said unto Jonathan his son, wherefore cometh not the son of Jesse to eat yesterday, neither today. So that right there tells you that the new moon is the first day of the month. Ezekiel 46:1, thus said the Lord Yahweh, the gate of the inner court that looketh toward the east shall shut the 6 working days, but on the Sabbath it shall be open, and in the day of the new moon it shall be open. So the Sabbath is a new moon. I'm slacking. A new moon is a Sabbath day, right? And then you have Sabbath days. That's the proof. What IUIC wants you to believe, because they're going off of the Gregorian solar calendar, they're telling you that what they think a new moon is, which they think the full moon's a new moon, right? They believe that can happen any time of the month. It's a special day, it's a Sabbath day, but it doesn't determine the Sabbath. It doesn't determine the 6 working days, but it does, because our calendar is based off the moon, according to the book of Genesis. The day begins at evening. It tells you that the new moon, right? And then you got the new moon. Then it said what? The following day, which was the 2nd day of the month. And then it tells you what? That the new moons and Sabbaths, that the new moon is a Sabbath, right? That's what Jake was doing as an excuse to do wickedness. Amos 8:5 saying, when will the new moon be gone, that we may sell corn, and the Sabbath, that we may set forth wheat, making the ephah small and the shekel great, falsifying the balances by deceit, right? Which is against the law. So they would sell our people. They would say with themselves, when will the new moon end, meaning the first of the month, and the Sabbath, which were the remaining of the month, to what go off, showing you that it all makes sense. It all makes sense. Your problem is you're trying to squeeze a lunar calendar and a solar calendar and think that the times are going to fall in line the same, but all it takes is a little research to show you that the times are different. They're different. So of course it's not going to be the same, but the fact is, the proof is that the scriptures do tell you that the Sabbath is based off the moon, right? It's based off the moon, period. So now, with that said, that's the simple explanation. You're comparing a solar calendar to a lunar calendar. They have different times. And the moon finishes its cycle faster. That is why a lunar calendar to a solar calendar is different by 11 days. And a lunar day is longer than a solar day. So now, that's explained. So now to deal with the full moon being when the light is fully on the moon. So the book of the Apocrypha, Sirach 43. Sirach 43, verse 6. He made the moon also to serve in her season for a declaration of times and a sign of the world. From the moon is a sign of feast, a light that decreaseth in her perfection. The month is called after her name, increasing wonderfully in her changing, being an instrument of the armies above, shining in the firmament of heaven. So what I wanted to do, I looked up the Greek, the Septuagint, for that verse. Well, first, you can actually look this up, right? It says full moon and new moon, right? This is something that was put together to clearly indicate that they are different and that they are not what you could say IUIC teaches, right? So I'm gonna jump down because, as he says, is new moon, full moon, and he basically says no. So I'm gonna go down to the Apocrypha. It's a good read. I'll link it. So this is the Apocrypha and the moon. All right. So it says another historical point of reference is that of the Apocrypha. Whether one wishes to accept what is commonly known as the Apocryphal writings is of no consequence, as they were once a part of the 1611 KJV, as well as other accepted compilations. The Book of Ecclesiasticus is a work from the early 2nd century BCE written by the Israelite scribe Joshua, son of Sirach of Jerusalem, who lived before Philo. So he says, Sirach 43, from the moon is a sign of feast, a light that decreases in her perfection. Now in the Greek text, which is the Septuagint, that's the Greek text, and here is the Greek breakdown. Here is the Greek breakdown. So it says, from moon, sign, feast, diminish upon completion. Those are the Greeks break down the words. And we can check this. So like right here, it says upon, right? Because it says decreasing, a light that decreases in her perfection. All right, so we could check this. What is this? Okay, so there's 1909, right, to mean upon. So you can go to the blue letter and you can type in G 1909. These are the verses that it comes up. So if I just click the first one, Matthew 1 and 11. If I click the interlinear and I'm looking for G 1909 right there, okay, it says what it means: upon, on, at, by, right? So upon, that's correct. And then here we're going to look up completion, because notice the Sirach says, you got to remember the Apocrypha was written in the Septuagint, which were Israelites who spoke Greek. They were Hebrews, but they spoke Greek, right? So it was written in Greek. So right here, the scriptures, it says a light that decreases in her perfection, right? But when the word they used was completion, well, we're going to look that up too, right here. 49. Oh my goodness. All these ads, man. Gotta refresh. All right. So this word there, completion, 4930. Right, that's the Greek word 4930, which means completion. Let's double check. Blue letter G 4930. Okay, you got Matthew 13:13. I'm sorry, Matthew 13:39. Let's look up. I'm looking for the G 4930. Here it is right here, which in this text it means the end. Okay, the end. Centellia, which means the end, which means completion. Completion or end, right? Completion. So then coming to completion, you can say completion or the end, right? So if we go back, according to this, right, it says from moon, sign, feast, diminish upon completion. Now notice this word diminish, I was looking and you can't find it, right? This exact word, they don't have a number for it. It's not in the New Testament, but you can translate it. You can translate it. I don't think this one worked for me, but I can go to, I had another one pulled up, two of them actually. All right, this is side by side, Septuagint, the Greek, English on the left, Greek on the right. So we go to verse 7 on the left over here versus verse 7. Right? This word here is that word diminish. Oh, I'm sorry, decreaseth. Decreaseth. That's the word. So if I hit translate, It means decreasing. Like I said, it's tedious. You can do it yourself. Just type in the Septuagint, Septuagint Bible, the Apocrypha, and this will give you the side by side. You can click on that word, hit translate, and it's the word decreasing. So if you read it again, it says Sirach 43:7. From the moon is the beginning of sign of feast, a light that decreases upon her perfection or upon completion. So that's proof that when it's at full, it decreases upon its completion. Completion of what? Is completion of cycle. Because to go from light to dark, that's decreasing light upon what? Completion, upon perfection. It didn't say a light that increases to its perfection. Then they would have an argument. Then they would say, or increases to its completion, because then you can say, see, when it's full, that's when it just completed a cycle. Or it's like when it's full light, that's when it completed a cycle. But it's not. It said a light that decreases or diminishes upon her completion, because it goes from dark to full. To complete a cycle, it goes to dark again. And even verse 8 says the month is called after her name, increasing, meaning light, wonderfully in her changing. So it increases light, then it decreases light. It increases light, it's at full, and then it diminishes light upon her completion, upon her cycle. So that right there is proof that the new moon is indeed when the moon is dark, and it's a full moon is when the moon is at full light, and it makes its completion back when it's dark again. It's like if we're being tedious with that.
New moon comes here. So what do you do with this day? What happens? According to that doctrine, it gets thrown out. You skip over. That's ridiculous. Because the most I tell you, the Sabbath is every 7 days. So with this theory, if it's based on the new moon, there's days you got to throw away. Everybody understand that? Yeah. So don't window shop listening to these nuts on YouTube. They're idiots. They are complete idiots. Right. Like Don just said, they just celebrated Passover, February, the first week of February. It was a snowstorm outside. You brothers following these idiot nuts on YouTube sitting on their mama's couch, they don't know the Bible. No. I don't care how long they go into the blue letter, go into the blue letter, go into the Greek. Yeah, idiots, brothers. Whoever follows them, shame on y'all. Shame on y'all.
It's lucky. I wanted to add, it didn't pick up for me, but I wanted to add. I wanted to finish that off, and then I wanted to also add, as the book of Isaiah 24 verse 4 says, the earth mourneth and fadeth away, the world languisheth and fadeth away, the haughty people of the earth do languish, the earth also is defiled under the inhabitants thereof, because they have transgressed the laws, changed the ordinance, broken the everlasting covenant. So for you to make mention about how there was snow time during the spring, well, that can happen. That can happen all over. There's all kind of unexplainable things that's going on in this world, things that happen that isn't supposed to happen. It's not supposed to happen. In fact, about every goddamn summer, you hear about record-breaking heat in Texas, record-breaking heat in Arizona, record-breaking heat in this place and that place, and it's never this hot here, and it's never gotten cold there. That's because of the Esau Edom, the so-called white man, and also because they mess with the weather, and because the time is off as well. They do all kind of things that throw off the earth balance in the earth system to make everything defiled. So you really can't expect things to go as you expect them to go. And when something like that does happen, you just say, you see, Esau Edom, this proof Esau Edom is throwing things out of whack, because it's not normal, it's not natural, right? And then also Colossians 2 verse 16, it says, let no man therefore judge you in meat or in drink or in respect of of an holy day, or of a new moon, or of the Sabbath days, which are a shadow of things to come, but the body is of Hamashiach. So as we say, we're going to get it all perfect, and we're going to get it right in the kingdom. The problem is when you say what the scripture says is wrong. That's where you're wrong. When you say that the calendar is not based off the moon according to the Bible, you are incorrect. Like I said, it's one thing if they was to just say, you know, admit that the reason they keep it Friday to Saturday is because of convenience, right? You know, like I said, it's hard to boast in the law when if you try to follow it off the new moon in this society, right, with the day, with how we got to operate and work, it'll be hard to do that because Esau Edom ain't gonna go for it. Okay, let's say you go to work 1 month and you say, listen, this Thursday, you basically just say you work a day job, right? And you say, hey, look, Wednesday I can't work because of religious reasons. They say, okay, cool. That following month, let's say it falls on Thursday, you say, look, I can't work Thursday. They're not going for it. They're gonna let you go. But what you can do is get like a Monday through Friday job pretty easy in the society. That's why I believe that they do it Friday to Saturday out of convenience. But like I said, they want to boast in the law. And when you go and talk to the Christians and you say, oh, you Christians are wrong. You coming together on a Sunday, you're supposed to be a Friday or a Saturday, shall I say. Well, you're wrong because you got it wrong as well, because you're not going to find Saturday or Sunday in the scriptures. You're not going to find Friday in the scriptures. But what you are going to find is a calendar based off the moon. So, like I said, when you say that the new moon does not dictate the calendar or does not dictate the Sabbath, you are wrong. We have to defend the gospel. And that's what we're saying. You are wrong. And you're also wrong on the new moon and the full moon being reversed. You got that wrong, man. So with that, shalom.